LeBron was inappropriate, whiny, and that is because he kept asking the front office for another effing playmaker. He feels like that's inappropriate.
Inappropriate, whiny, all the above. The Cleveland Cavaliers, they have given him everything he wanted. They have the highest payroll in NBA history. He wanted J.R. Smith last summer. They paid him. He wanted Shumpert last summer. They bought in Kyle Korver. He's the best player in the world. Does he want all the good players? He don't want to compete?
I understand where Charles is coming from, like, to the max. And there's probably a whole wave of players who don't want to be toxic to the game and say negative things.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand that those people are just really mature enough to understand the implications of everything they do. So I'm not gonna come out and shit on the best player because that would hurt all of us. But somebody needs to pull him aside and say, dude, don't do it like that, man.
Well, LeBron responded, and he actually said, I'm not going to let him disrespect my legacy like that. I'm not the one who threw somebody through a window. I never spit on a kid. I never had unpaid debt in Las Vegas. I never said I'm not a role model. I never showed up to All-Star Weekend on Sunday because I was in Vegas all weekend.
Partying. All I've done for my entire career is represent the NBA the right way. 14 years, never got in trouble. Respecting the game, print that. Continues to say. I collect one paycheck from this. James said it was roll with the Cavs. There's the owner, David Griffin, the GM. I'm the player. Screw Charles Barkley. I'm tired of biting my tongue. There is a new sheriff in town.
Then he went on to say that Charles Barkley is a hater who wanted to retire a long time ago from broadcasting, but is stuck up on that stage every week.
Wow. He has to do that, man. It's good for the ratings. That makes no sense in the world. Ever since I picked up a basketball at age 9, I've competed every single time. So can never question that about me. So, but that's Charles. I mean, he's the guy who has to sit on that panel and says things like that. But at the end of the day, that means absolutely nothing.
He needs to grow up. He just, But it's this is the hardest thing about all this. A lot of his issues that we see on the surface, they stem from personal issues. So to fix his people shit, you have to go into his personal issues. So that's the reason why when people tell him to not be petty, he responds by attacking people in personal ways.
By being extra petty.
Right. It's because you're really getting close to something that he's hiding from the whole world.
That's how Charles Barkley responded to LeBron's shots at him.
I have no problem with what LeBron said. Well, I think when you don't like the message, you just kill the messenger. Some of those things he said about me are correct. That still does not make my message incorrect. I thought he was really whiny and complaining the last couple of weeks, talking about he got no help. I'm like, dude, you just won the championship. Hey, listen, anytime you criticize any of these young guys, you're a hater.
Did he just say, bitch, you just won the championship?
No, he didn't say bitch.
Clearly LeBron did his homework, and on some screw-ups I've had in my life, I appreciate him. Clearly he Googled me and found out some things, but he said he's not going to get upset that somebody said something bad about me. He said my basketball opinion is strictly about basketball. He said I never talk about a guy's personal life, and I never say a guy should be fired. All my stuff is going to be strictly about basketball.
Yeah, that's like Barkley being petty and addressing LeBron's headline.
Like, yeah, LeBron's probably making what he made in some seasons in one game.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Oh, man, what a head trip. That gives a lot of perspective.
Right. You know what I mean? So, these guys did gamble. They were. And,
With less.
Right, and that's what they did in their free time is, golf gamble. Competition. I saw gambling as another form of competition.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And with athletes, they have a level of invincibility that comes from being the best on the planet at something. You know what I mean? So that's why they need financial advisors and people to get in the way of their bad decisions. So, there may be friends of LeBron that may be in the same financial state that Charles is in
yeah.
right now. You know what I mean? So for him to throw him under the bus in that way is kind of like, it's kind of foul. You know what I mean? It's true. It's absolutely true, though, as far as him probably needing that job. And what he's basically saying is, since you need attention and you need ratings, you're going to use me like Stephen A. would use a hot button topic, and you just trying to chase an ambulance. You know what I'm saying? That's a legitimate argument, but it's so out of context.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what's disappointing, not only about him, but just a lot of people right now. They don't understand the difference between philosophy and politics. You know what I'm saying?
As I walk through time, I travel in space. I escape from the madness that's cloud my day. Never meant to be poetic, it just sound that way. In a city where crime don't pay, but it pay better than minimum wage. So it's minimum of 50 a blaze. Brush haters like I'm doing my waves. Clean shave as the day I was born. Smooth for the horrors. I'm a scorer like Jordan in the fourth quarter.
And I heard somebody say, like, LeBron pretty much always takes the high road. Like, he's not one to...
You mean like drugs? What are you talking about high road? Like, what type of high? What type of high are you talking about?
In the media, when he's doing his interviews, he'll typically be measured and not speak with emotion. He'll plan out what he's going to say and say it. And usually he doesn't get personal. Usually. You don't think that's accurate?
I think he gets personal
A lot?
the majority of it. And it's a sensitive, victimizing, like I'm the victim. That's his position in all his conversations.
Right. With the fouling and all that, yeah.
I think after he got up there and after he realized that bravado has a receipt and that eventually that bravado will come back and bite you in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
He's been more. He's tried to moderate his temperament in a way where he delivers his information. Where, okay, it's like, oh well, he's so calm, he can't be a dirtbag.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because most people ain't paying attention that well. That to that degree where they can, where they really reading his mannerisms, his body language, and all this type of things. But anybody with some sense that has to deal with bullshit of just people and power and money every day, you can see this guy. He's confused. You got the most money in the league. You got everything, all the doors open to you. These come with certain, certain stipulations. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And one of those is you got to be the leader of the team. Go in the locker room and have these conversations, which these veterans have been playing the game for years and years and years. They all got the same thing to say. So it just strikes me odd that nobody wants to listen to the veterans. Just because he's making triple their money doesn't change the fabric of what made the game,
what they've been through. It doesn't
Right.
discount their experience.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
And Charles, I mean, I'm sure that if somebody would have caught Charles on a bad night in the locker room, a hot take, he would have said worse.
Right.
But back in those days, it was probably somebody with a pencil and a paper
Right.
getting quotes, and then afterwards, Mr. Barkley, can I print that? Hell no, you can't print that. Okay, and they cross it out and they go with the nice quote.
Right.
But Charles is not a likable dude. I think. Thank you. I think people see him kind of as a clown. Now.
I'm pretty sure Charles is an Aquarius.
I'd go there.
Just like Jordan. Okay. And every Aquarius that I've known, like my little sister,
Yeah.
ex-girlfriends I've had, Aquariuses in general, they just kind of are in their own bubble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which means they don't live by the fear of the rest of the world, and they don't necessarily go with the popular idea sometimes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And their whole thing is like, I'm gonna grind, and I'm gonna get what I need to get done. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to making certain excuses about things, they're just not gonna acknowledge the excuse. You know what I'm saying? Like, they might acknowledge their own excuse.
Right.
But it comes to a point where everything is done and they reflect, and then they can be honest once they're out of that situation.
Right.
I don't see him have that type of, retrospect. Let me look back and say, okay, yeah, I was tripping.
Right. Yeah, that's not him.
Right. You know what I'm saying? He just is full speed, and part of it is being the best player on the planet all the time. If you're a supreme athlete from junior high, you're coddled and protected and buffered from reality.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he said some crazy shit, but he's the best. He's that guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's where he seems to get himself in trouble, is he gets super ahead of himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, making all these public statements. it just makes him look real bad. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's kind of indicative of where the country's at right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the difference between what he said and what this type of shit Trump says? You know, or the social media attitudes and those type of arguments. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we're not going to address the facts. I'm just going to find a way to deal with my emotions, so I'm going to say this shit over there.
That's true. And I feel like the way the social media has people interacting, it's like you get enough, like you're saying, the instant gratification, but it's not two ways. You're not empathizing and you're not feeling the effects of your words.
Right.
You're only getting that quick feedback real quick.
Right.
So there's definitely something missing.
Right.
You know, it's not a good cycle.
And that's
sure.
That's what I mean by authority without
responsibility or repercussions.
Right. You know what I'm saying? It's like, like you said, it's not a two-way street.
It's not.
You know what I'm saying? At no point does it kick in. What are the implications of what I'm saying? You know, it's just, no, you need to be concerned with everything I'm sensitive about.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter if I put out this shockwave that damages everything about your brand. Whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the old school meets new school. Now that you have, when was the first star player that became an analyst that switched?
That I can think of. You mean basketball?
Yeah. Is it Chuck? Is it Reggie? Who else?
No. Magic started doing, was an analyst.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
guess.
I think it took a while for Magic to get a certain level of comfort.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think television broadcasting is about timing.
Yeah.
And different cues. And the teleprompters and getting certain messages,
throwing packages,
right? So it's
points.
Yeah, right. So it's, you know, they got a little shit under their desk. You know,
yeah.
It's I think it's just really about timing and considering commercial breaks and everything because the advertisers pay your bills. So I remember first seeing Magic doing
I don't remember that,
like All-Star games. You know what I'm saying? And so Matt, you know, because they always got the you know, the more square guy who just, you know, he just went to school for broadcasting.
Right. He runs the desk.
Right. And
field.
So Magic, Charles had a great game. Late in the third quarter, he really picked it up. What did you see there? Hey, what he had did, right? Hey, Kool-Aid? I like Kool-Aid. But you know, if it's in red, you better pass the ball. Charles is a friend of mine. Hey, you know, and the dude is looking at Magic like, where you going with this story, Magic?
That's when you got to throw back to the studio. Ask him another question.
Hey, back to you, Kenny. You there? Hello? Magic, you can stop talking. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, we cut you off. We've been through commercials. You're shooting with Bird, and we're doing the Mac. The Big Mac joint is running. You're good.
Right.
YouTube doesn't exist.
Right. Your foundation. We talking about that right now. You know.
It's interesting to see them look and be like, oh yeah, so and so is going to be a good color analyst when they, you know, it's like Shaq. Obviously, it was obvious that he was going to be in broadcasting or have some type of media presence. But it's like when Kobe, it's like you knew he wasn't. You knew he wasn't going to be, you know, calling games or working with ESPN or Turner, nothing like that. But it's do you think that most people that are in it?
Some people are saying that Kobe might do it though.
Yeah, in his own time, and maybe for 2 days, and he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm done." Like he's doing it on his terms. Like there's no way he's going to be a Turner employee.
Right.
You know that's not happening.
I got what you're saying.
You know, he might do a Bill Simmons and have his own network and conglomerate. Who knows?
Right.
But do you think the people that are doing it just for the money, like Charles? That's what really interested me about his clapback. He's like, you wanted to retire a long time ago, but you got gambling debts, and you're irresponsible, and you're ugly, and your booty's high, and your wife is... you know, you said all these things. So that's pretty low and brutal if it's true. And it's got to be true, because otherwise, why would he have said it?
I think it's absolutely true. You know what I mean? But you got to think that these guys weren't making the kind of money that
at all.
LeBron,
Not even adjusted for inflation.
Dude, Barkley used to get into it with fans at games and then meet up with fans at bars and fight the fans there. So I'm saying that's for disrespecting him and his teammates.
Yeah.
So you got to understand the difference in how they approach having heart for the game and being.
And he was probably making what, $2,000 a game or something stupid small price.
Right. Not like LeBron's probably making what he made in some seasons in one game.
Yeah.
Like literally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Oh man, what a head trip. That gives a lot of perspective.
Right. You know what I mean? So these guys did gamble. You know, they were and
With
you know
less.
Right, and that's what they did in their free time is, golf gamble. Competition. That's all gambling is another form of competition.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And with athletes, they have a level of invincibility that comes from being the best on the planet at something. You know what I mean? So that's why they need financial advisors and people to get in the way of their bad decisions. So, there may be friends of LeBron that may be in the same financial state that Charles is in right now. You know what I mean? So for him to throw him under the bus in that way is kind of like, it's kind of foul. You know what I mean? It's true. It's absolutely true, though, as far as him probably needing that job. And what he's basically saying is, since you need attention and you need ratings, you're going to use me like Stephen A. would use a hot button topic, and you just trying to chase an ambulance. You know what I'm saying? That's a legitimate argument, but it's so out of context.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what's disappointing, not only about him, but just a lot of people right now. They don't understand the difference between philosophy and politics. You know what I'm saying? Like a political debate is just, I just want what I want, and I want you to not get shit.
And agree with me about it.
And agree with me.
And smile for the picture.
And smile and be a good sport and say this is for the betterment of everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? A philosophical debate is about universal truth. So that means at some point, I'm going to have to give a little bit to get to that peak of understanding for both of us.
The plateau got to be
right.
Equal level.
Equal level. I offer, what am I wrong about? You know what I'm saying? So that I can forgive you for what you're wrong about, and let's just figure out a better way to go about doing it.
Man.
That's what the fucking goal is. But that's not the position when you coming from a competitive stance and everything is about wins and losses. And yeah, you make sense, but if I admit that makes sense, I lost.
Diametrically opposed. Politics and philosophy. That is deep. For a discussion that started out with Charles Barkley, dumbass, on TNT.
Right.
That's amazing.
I don't know. That's
sports philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how I generally see the problem with a lot of these conversations. How come we can't even arrive at a way with how to trade information? We can't even arrive at a fair communication point. Like, you have to be able to recognize that certain shit you do and say is just unfair. Yeah. It's like pimp talking. A pimp is not having a fair conversation with us. You know what I'm saying? Everything is ultimatums and fear tactics.
Yeah. Never hear a pimp say, "No, go ahead, baby. I'm gonna let you." I'm listening.
But if they say, "Go ahead," they say, "Okay, go ahead. You got that, then. You got that." I'm gonna put some doubt in your mind, even with me confirming you're right. You know what I'm saying? Like those are tricky moves. You know what I'm saying? And to act like you don't know what you're doing, to me, that's bullshit. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why a guy like Charles is like, you're petty, dude. You're real petty up there in front of the world as the best player, and you're using like 5-year-old girl tactics. Like, what are you going here? You on your period or something? You want some cranberry juice? I understand where Charles is coming from, like to the max, and there's probably a whole wave of players who don't want to be toxic to the game and say negative things. And people don't understand that those people are just really mature enough to understand the implications of what everything they do. So I'm not gonna come out and shit on the best player because that would hurt all of us. But somebody needs to pull him aside and say, dude, don't do it like that, man. You know what I mean? And he needs to grow up. He just, you know. But, you know, it's this is the hardest thing about all this. A lot of his issues that we see on the surface, they stem from personal issues. So to fix his people shit, you have to go into his personal issues. So that's the reason why when people tell him to not be petty, he responds by attacking people in personal ways.
By being extra petty.
Right. It's because you're really getting close to something that he's hiding from the whole world.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have a father. You know what I'm saying? You're raised by a woman who slept with one of your teammates.
Oh.
It's probably not the strongest character of woman out here. So you
It's really unfortunate.
right. So these fail safes that you see in place are a result of shit that she's done. She acts like that. These are learned behaviors. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, everybody wants to shoot the messenger. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we at, man. You know, a lot of people won't get up there, and that's what Charles is doing. He said, "Man, I'll lay on the sword and say what I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna say what I got to say, man. Like
I'm stuck here for life anyway. I already signed my. I got my 28-year max contract going on.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
Is it true that?
I feel like LeBron don't want to fight me now.
Talk is cheap, motherfucker.